Hi guys, this is Holistic Health with Harry. Today we're joined, you may recognize Devon Graham, the Black Airbender. How are you again? How are you, my
I'm
friend?
good, and you? I'm real
Yes,
good.
not too bad. I'm so happy you wanted to come on again to do a part two of us. You've got such great knowledge, and I feel like we didn't cover enough time in the short space of time. I think we only had half an hour interview. It's not enough anyway to talk to anyone. So
Yeah.
welcome again. Let's talk today about, so you said you want to talk about sun gazing. I mean, you've got so much knowledge to share with us. And you're outside in the beautiful, sunny there now, isn't
Oh
it?
yeah. Yeah.
Mm. Have you been doing some sun gazing, bro, today?
Yeah, actually. So so I love sun gazing. I got to the point where I can just stare at the sun, and I like sun gazing with the eyes closed. A lot of people don't know that when you sun gaze, a good practice is to, lay down and close your eyes afterwards.
Hmm.
So you can take in all the information that the sun was giving you with the eyes closed. Because if you after you sun gaze and you look around, you're also just taking in more and more and more information, in terms of biophotons in that
Yeah.
sense too.
I like that. Yeah. So like external, and then to close your eyes is to go internal. So that information you've received externally, when you close your eyes, I guess you can assimilate it better because now you can
Exactly.
not have this, because this is stressful in a way, the daytime stress, if you like, of the outside yang, and we want the yin, the meditation. So maybe, yeah, you're right. I never thought. Thanks for saying that. I never thought of it like that. You can get a lot more out of it by after immediately after, right? Immediately after you've
Hmm.
done sun gaze, close your eyes,
As
and
Close
what do
your
you?
eyes.
Yeah, what do you do with that? Do you just go let your mind wander? Do you do a specific meditation or?
I do breath work from time to time if I'm in the yeah, even if I'm in front of people, I don't mind just getting into the different times of breath work. But yeah, that'd be the most simplest thing to do in terms of sun gazing is right after you're sun gazing or right when you're sun gazing, just immediately go close your eyes and just lay down and take it all in.
I love that. Yeah, thanks for bringing that to my awareness. It's almost like a yin yang thing too. Like there's the yang element of the sun, and then there's the
Hmm.
receiving element and closing and chilling. And sometimes it makes you chill, makes me a bit hyper. So even I need to really chill out a little bit sometimes from sun gazing because it's tempting, isn't it? If you're kind of erratic, to go like, oh, I've got energy now from the sun. I'm not used to.
Hmm.
So now let's go out and do things. But you're right. You should
Right.
chill, ground yourself. It grounds you when you close your eyes and let that in. So. Hmm.
That's why one of the practice is they say you should be grounded while you're gazing at the sun too.
Oh, they do. And I agree with that. Although sometimes people on my Facebook will criticize me. They're a bit dogmatic. I don't like dogma. They'll say you should never do sun gazing unless you're grounding. I don't believe in that. I mean, ideally,
Yeah.
yes. But mm, mm,
Because breath work in itself grounds you because you're more in your body in that sense. So I like to do sun gazing after breath work or even before, like whenever. But I find that when I do breath work,
mm.
everything is more crisp. So I take that crispness, that crispy that crispy vision, and I gaze at the sun and I take more of it in
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the absorption rate in the body it goes way up with breath work. So
Mm.
in terms of the skin, also you're just taking in more biophotons as well. I got a lot darker out here than I did in Jersey,
Hmm.
so
You're in Florida right now, aren't you?
yeah,
You're in
yeah,
Florida.
I'm in
Yeah.
Florida. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And also, like, I feel like the more healthy you are, and the breathwork's making you more healthy. So now, people that say they struggle with sun gazing, I just assume, I don't want to judge, but assuming they're just not healthy. They're not doing breathwork. They're not doing fasting. They're not doing grounding. They're not doing the things that are healthy. So therefore, they're like, because I know what it feels like in my own body when it's not that I'm not healthy. It's everyone's varying, right? Their degrees of healthiness. So some days I fuck up. I eat too much, eat bad foods. And then I find sun gazing not as beneficial. It still does something, but I can feel myself off. Whereas if I
Mm,
do the breath work and if I'm really done drunk my urine and other stuff, then I find it much easier and I enjoy it far more the healthier I am.
mm.
Mm.
That's another way of taking in the sun, by drink. What I do again with the Martin glass, use the
Mm.
Martin glass. I have a tincture ring on the bottom.
Cool. Tell us about I'm a little bit aware of the Myron glass. Tell the audience, what is the Myron glass? What is that?
Uh, so the Martin glass really literally absorbs UVA rays and infrared rays only, and it only takes 30 minutes to charge in the sun, and you're literally drinking the sun at that point.
Wow. So the other frequencies are non-beneficial in a way. So they're taking out the non-beneficial rays and giving you just the ones. Oh, is it magnifying too? My subconscious may be saying to me, is it magnifying the infrared and the because it's taking out the others? Is it magnifying some way?
Yes, because the glass is literally it's literally violet in a way. It's like what the ancients would call the violet flame, in that sense that they would use different colors in their technology.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like the violet ray, Nicholas Tesla, didn't he invent the violet ray? That was really powerful
He
too.
he invented the violet ray. Yes, he did. And that violet ray is also good for inflammation. I've actually seen this dermatologist use it in a really interesting way. So what she does is she cleans the face, and then she does a violet ray again, and then she puts in like essential oils to clean the face, different types of things, and then she would rub the violet ray on the face again. So the violet ray is a spectrum that is very healing. In different meditations, they would use the purple flame, or how, I don't know what they call it, or the flame of Saint Germain, something like that. So the violet flame is a very healing ray in that sense.
And the mirror on glass is mirroring. Did you say something like that?
Basically, is, yes.
What do you put in your mirroring glass, Devon? What you got in that? What type of water?
Distilled water, because it's the easiest to structure.
Yeah, okay, 0 ppm distilled water. Nice. Huh. Yeah, I can imagine. I know for a fact that would be super much more powerful than if it was just plain dead, in a way, dead, unstructured distilled water, which is still good, but yeah, that's probably giving you a right old kick.
Yeah, I put UT in there, and it's really, really powerful, UT. So I only do it for like 30 minutes, and then I would drink it, and it would taste, I really don't know how to describe it. It's really sweet, but not sweet. It's like, I really don't know how to describe, but sweet would be the closest thing I could describe. But it's really electric when you put UT in there.
Nice. So urine with mirror glasses. How much are they? These mirror glasses? Again, I've seen them on Amazon, I think.
Yeah, they're only like $25.
Okay, I think that's worth it. And they're glass, aren't they? Glass.
Yeah, for 1 liter, yeah, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, I'm going to look into that, and maybe I'll start promoting it more for the audience to. I recommend now, if the audience is up for it, then they should definitely look into mirror glasses for the aging urine. That'd be an interesting experiment. Aging urine.
I had one friend try it, and he said it's probably the most powerful enema he's ever done.
Oh wow!
Because after he did it, he was out of daze, but he went to sleep, and then he felt energized waking up. He's like, wow. And I think he aged it for about like 2 months in the Marin glass.
Yeah.
Just having it outside. The thing is with the Marin glass, it keeps any liquid in there alive, because they did a test with rose water, and rose water, as we know, is one of the most delicate waters, or quote unquote liquids, alive. If you put it in a regular jar for a couple hours, it'll die. It won't have as much electrons or flavonoids as it would usually have. But in the Marin glass, they literally had it in the Marin glass for 3 years, and it still had the same properties. They even put literally flowers. They did a test with flowers. They had it in the sun. The flowers lasted a lot longer than just in a regular glass. So that goes to show you the Marin glass is really, truly, it's a truly powerful product.
Wow. I think this is kind of a new level, and it's new level awareness in many of the audience, because if you think about bottles too, like green bottles, they put beer. I'm not saying drink beer. I'm just saying they put beer in green bottles for a reason. It does something like holds the fermentation, makes it last longer. And then there's also brown glass. They used to put milk in brown glasses, didn't they? Like them, So there's a reason behind the colors. It's like color therapy. With all these things, there's a reason why we can do it. So the Miron is, absolutely something that people should look into. Could well be the future for us in aging urine, in terms of getting away from plastic, which I'm guilty of, by the way. And getting away from plastic, but not just glass, but any glass, but this special kind of glass that's cheap too. So
yeah, it's definitely worth it. Definitely worth it.
Yeah, I want to touch base quickly. I know you posted recently on the Sacred Sun Gazing group a picture of your butt gazing. You had your butt in the air. So what was that about, mate? What's that about?
Perineum gazing, it's a Taoist practice, and a practicing Taoist, if you're a practicing Taoist, you've obviously done it. and I for one I'm technically a practicing Taoist, but I don't consider myself a Taoist. Bigu, we use some Taoist breathing techniques, and we amplify it even more, so it's more than just Taoism in that point. But I'm a real believer in the Tao, or the Tao, however you want to describe it. And the Tao Te Ching is probably my favorite books that I read over and over again.
Wow, what a synchronicity. I just posted the Tao Te Ching, a really good quote. There's so many. I posted one this morning and you're just talking about it now. How bizarre.
Mm,
It's powerful, my friend. Yeah. And so I'm thinking if you butt gaze, then, like for the men and women, the yoni and the testicles is kind of near the perineum. It's like if you want to send the sexual energy from the testicles around the body, it has to go first place it goes is in the perineum, right? The butt and the
mm,
anus. So that's a really good
right.
place to charge up for that, for like sexual energy work for men and women. Must be doing something there, right?
Yeah, in the medical field, they would have some people take pills through the butthole.
Really? Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Huh.
they would take pills because it's faster way through the colon.
Huh. What, so it goes through the colon and gets into the bloodstream?
Yep, the fastest way to the bloodstream. That's what I mean. But
Oh, right.
yeah,
Huh.
yeah,
I didn't know that. That's crazy. That makes sense because I know it goes from the colon into the liver, and then the liver puts it out into the bloodstream. Right.
yeah. That's why perineum is powerful in itself too. Perineum gazing at that point, if you want to call it that.
Absolutely. And I'm also thinking for guys that a lot of in England, the number one cause of death in cancers is prostate cancer. Everybody in America too. But everyone talks about prostate cancer. Well, if you get your prostate out in the sun, I mean, like one reason it might be there for the first place because no one's doing butt gazing and no one, even myself, I tend to get the sun out of the front of my body and I forget the back and I definitely forget the anus. I definitely don't do the gazing. I do the gazing with the eyes, but the butt gazing I don't. So if people did that a little bit, maybe that's really going to help like mitigate cancer and all these kind of diseases in the bowels and the prostate, right?
Yeah, definitely. Whenever I can get naked out here, I just get naked.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's truly powerful to get the sun on your back too, because that's where the spine is. That's where energy flows up the body.
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely,
that's really powerful.
The Governor channel was it the Governor channel? I think was it the functional channel in Taoism? The back and the front is the conception channel, I believe.
Right.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah. So yeah, sun is powerful. Yeah. Do you want to touch bases quickly with? I don't think we talked last time about urine. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think we actually did talk about it a lot.
Well, we didn't talk about it too much, but we basically got through that. People who drive fast are basically doing urine therapy.
Oh right, yeah, because you wanted to know about urine therapy. So you experienced the magic. What made you come to it? Because a lot of people get put off straight off the bat and never try it again.
I came through it earlier years. This was like, I guess when I was first going vegan or whatever, and I wanted to cleanse as much as possible. And I came upon this doctor that runs a facility in India that does urine therapy for his patients and stuff. And he was talking about how it cures cancer. I don't want to say the word cure, but heals certain ailments in the body and stuff like that. And I looked at that. I was like, okay, you know what? Why not? And then I tried Age for the first time, and
before fresh urine.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's unusual. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for my first time, I tried Age. It was just sitting in my room for a long time, and I was like, all right, time to try it. As soon as I tried it, I went to the bathroom, and tons of parasites came out.
Whoa, drinking, right? How much do you drink?
Drinking it.
A little bit probably is enough.
No. I drank the whole bottle.
Oh,
it was
wow.
like a 16-ounce bottle.
Good Lord. Did you not find it gets a kickback though? Like I can't even drink that much quickly. Maybe you took your time, right? Because it burns a little bit the throat depending on your diet. Did you not burn your throat? Maybe your diet was good.
Yeah, I think my diet was really getting good. So why I became vegan at that point a couple of years ago was because growing up, I never had like a hamburger or whatever they would have in America, stuff like that. And, as I got older, I'm like, oh, I can finally go to a restaurant and try this or whatever. I finally tried it. And then, I saw the difference between getting a McDonald's burger and a gourmet burger. So I went to different restaurants and I tried different hamburgers. And then one day I saw this whole rash on my arm. I was like, that's definitely from the burger. And then from then I went vegetarian. And I tried the UT, Shivambu. I tried that. Parasites came out, and that's when I was like, okay, I need to go full vegan at this point. Right. And then UT actually helped me fight. It really helped me fight getting off of cheese, because cheese was the last thing. Anything dairy, it was really cheese. I didn't really like milk. But it was really cheese, getting off of cheese. That was the hardest thing I've ever done, really getting off into the going fully straight vegan at that point. And truth be told, not a lot of people know that, but urine in itself has nitric oxide.
Right. Oh, okay.
And nitric oxide is only produced through the nose when we breathe in, and is responsible for healing the body. And our whole body is 65% oxygen, so nitric oxide is truly responsible for oxygen absorption and strengthening the body. So when I learned about that, I was like, oh, that makes sense. That's one of the main reasons why I dove into breath work even more when I was in Cali, and meeting my sifu at that time. But I learned that urine actually has nitric oxide. Right. So when I learned that, I was like, there's only another way to produce nitric oxide is through the breath.
Yeah.
So, and that was the really pushing point. I was like, okay, there's something that's connecting everything together at this point, because you see what all these facilities all over the world have proven themselves to heal many different types of ailments and diseases, and yet we're still worrying about COVID-19 or whatever. But that goes to show the government really doesn't care at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have all these facilities, at least outside of America, that is proving themselves to heal all these different ailments. So I knew that from the back of my head. And when I found out about the nitric oxide, I was like, oh, now it's all making sense. Yeah. You put 1 and 2 together, and that's how I dove deeper into the breath work.
That's funny. You're a dot connector like myself, and you need just one little thing. It might be different to you, is it different to me? But you're like, and you got into it. And by the way, thanks for saying that, because you actually said something really interesting there, which is kind of off-cuff remark for you, but I actually think it's really deep. Like, nitric oxide is essential for the upkeep of oxygen. Maybe the audience doesn't know this. If they don't, cool. It's actually not just carbon dioxide and oxygen that's needed. It's the nitric oxide. It's the missing piece. And that's what allows the oxygen to be assimilated in high amounts. So if you've got low nitric oxide, you're in trouble. You won't assimilate as much oxygen. And of course, you're right. Yeah, through the nose breathing, breath work, and urine, and possibly aged urine has way more nitric oxide in it, which is why when we take the urine, I'm sure you notice it slows the breath down. It's tied together with breath. Yeah. Urine therapy and breath is like, it just slows it down, the nitric oxide, isn't it?
Yeah. So what's also happening is it's the more you loop it as well, the more you'll get to the point where whatever antibodies or whatever amino acids that's also in the blood is helping to keep the lungs alive. When it gets to that point of whenever it's time to loop, or whenever I think 5 a.m. if you're releasing at that point, that's the best time to drink it for the lungs in that sense. So when you're drinking at that point, you'll definitely feel the breath slowing down dramatically. Out of all the times, if you're drinking, especially age, if you're drinking age around 5
p.m. 5 p.m. you're saying?
No, 5 a.m.
5 a.m. Okay, is that linked in with the Chinese calendar? The Chinese?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So lungs is 5 a.m. Your main detox points are 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. But specifically, if you're drinking it at 5 a.m., you will dramatically see the difference in your breath versus any other time.
Wow, that could be why the Taoists, I've heard the Taoists say that 4 a.m., or is it Indians, say 4 or 5 a.m. is the best time to do breath work. That could be another link in.
Yep, that's the best detoxing. So when you're focusing on the lungs, because most energy is in the lungs. This whole system, this whole body is truly underrated in today's society, and how sophisticated it really is beyond AI, because I believe technically we are AI in that sense. We've seen many powerful yogis slow down their breath. We've seen slowing down the breath they can manipulate the heart pulse and do many things with that. Once you slow down that, you technically slow down time in that sense, and you can manipulate certain energies. Aerokinesis is one of them.
Yeah. Is that flying?
And you name it.
Flying, yeah.
Manipulating the air. I've done when me and my partner, we were doing something, and we felt more air come in. I was like, what do you think that is? So yeah, when you play around with the body to its full capacity, you'll find that superpowers are real in many different aspects.
Oh, that's so cool, and that's so encouraging. Even because I'm not perfect with everything I do. I'm a human too,
Right.
so it
Yeah.
motivates me to hear that. It reminds me of the truth that yeah, I've got superpowers. We've all got superpowers. Hey, if I
We
just
all
was a
do.
bit, yeah, if I was a bit more hardcore, I could really tap into my spiritual superpowers, my fighter. Maybe I could, I get super. It might not be crazy stuff like you're saying, if those are possible. I think, by the way, but it might be things like intuition. You might know what someone's saying like a second before they say it, or like that's you think of a song on the radio and it just comes up. You know that kind of shit. I'm like, or someone you can tell someone's telling a lie. Your intuition goes like ding ding ding, crazy. Love that. Mm.
Mm. And you know, when everything is lubricated in the sense of hydration, everything is hydrated in the body.
Mm.
The whole body is made up of different portals in that sense. You know, when you look at the word pores, what do you think that is? Portals. And when you look at an ancient Hinduism, specifically for me, it's really, if you want to go even deeper, you look into African history, because that's where yoga really started. And they have these symbols called Adinkra symbols, and Adinkra symbols was the most closest to binary code in today's science, which is insane. So it goes to show you, I truly believe that, you know, we were communicating with many different entities from all over the universe in that sense, even beyond the physical. And I mean more in the astral too, in that sense of technology and communication.
That's fascinating. So you definitely believe in Breatharianism then, that we didn't need anything apart from breath to
Yeah,
exist.
there was a point where in certain textures our skin was green, and when my microbiome got stronger, you know, I started doing different things like dry brushing, and what I do now is I love using copper, and
Mm.
I would brush copper on my skin.
Mm. That's tensor, isn't it? Not as copper. It's tensor copper, right?
Yeah, tensoring especially.
Tensor
Yeah,
rings. Yeah.
yeah.
Because copper's powerful, but the tensor makes it it's like a special sacred geometry to the copper, which activates its even
Hmm.
higher powers. Right? So really,
Exactly.
yeah. Tip for people watching: they should know by now if they watch my channel and stuff. Aged urine, put it underneath your water. Put your buy tensor rings and put them under your aged urine. Ages quicker. Your water makes them more special, just as Miron glass would. Maybe even do. I like you're doing, Devon. I think tensor rings with Miron glass and all these hacks.
Yeah,
Right?
I put a double-sided sticker, and I put the, if you can see that,
All
put a
right.
tensoring on the bottom and the
Oh,
double-sided sticker right
is
there.
that a stick? All right, cool. Is that a sticker or anything? Is that a special sticker or just is it like
No,
a goodwill?
no, it's a double-sided sticker. Some sand got into it, so that's why it's like that.
Okay, because I'm thinking of
Yeah.
I've seen patches. There's so many technologies out there that I'm blown away by. And by the way, I love free stuff, but I've seen patches that structure the water better, like kind of like reduce EMF. So I'm thinking of getting them for my aged urine bottles for my water, just to magnify it even more. Like I'm gonna mess about with that stuff.
Yeah, my thing is like, why not? I even have I have this EMF sticker on here too.
Oh, you do? Yeah, I reckon those are so.
Yeah.
Which one is it? Like, which one did you buy?
I'm not sure my partner got. Do you remember where this is from? Do you know what it's called? Oh, no, but they're out there.
Yeah, there's so many different ones out there, and people want to say woo woo, and if you want to say woo woo, then too bad for you, because I really do believe. I just bought some yesterday; it was 50% off on the newsfeed, so I was like, yeah, buy some of that shit.
Yeah, I did an EMF test on it too, so it definitely works.
Mm.
It definitely works.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so oh, that's a good. This is an interesting one. So EMFs we know are bad. Someone told me yesterday that possibly they don't think it's bad as we reckon it is, and it could be quite useful to humanity. And humans can take it. We can take it now. We can take it, and we were designed to take it. Is this something you agree with, or do you think this is a disaster for humanity? What's coming with the EMFs?
I actually totally agree. The reason is because in Cali, I used to be around a circle of people from, you say, NASA scholars, royals, like you name it. That's why I really don't talk too much about conspiracies, because I've been on the other veil and I've seen what I've seen, and I don't like to dive too much into it. But you know, the fact that we have people paying millions of dollars not to be in the newspaper, people you probably never even heard of, pay millions of dollars to not be in the newspaper or not even be mentioned. You know, the owner of Time Warner, I think I forgot his name, but you know, he has his own group of people that is within a certain circle that they pay him. They like, don't mention us, don't find a way to not mention it in the news. You know, and that's why you see all these news reporters are saying the same thing on different channels, like reading a script. So in that sense, going back to EMF, I don't truly, it's not as bad as we all make it out to be, in that sense of you have to consider the psychological warfare that's really going on, and you have to consider the in terms of visible light, the EMF, if it was really harmful, it would be as visible as, well, technically, you know, a regular light bulb is as bad in terms of the radiation it permits.
Oh wow, light bulbs are bad for radiation. Okay, didn't know that.
Well, yeah. You know, our skin in terms of melanin reacts to different spectrums of light, and it's I use a red light bulb in my house.
Nice.
So yeah, I do red light therapy.
Yep.
So I do that a lot if I don't get too much sun, but I already have enough sun now. But if you're in cold weather, I highly suggest TheraBulb. They're pretty cheap. It's like a big bulb you just screw into anywhere, and you.
What's it called? Thermobulb. Thermobulb. You say?
TheraBulb.
Okay, where'd you get these from? Amazon?
Yeah, it's on Amazon now. Yeah, it's definitely on Amazon.
Okay.
So yeah, going back to EMF, the bandwidth I think is around, there's 20. Is it 20 gigahertz or 65 gigahertz for 5G? It would have to be 7 times stronger in that sense to really quote unquote harm people. In my opinion, you know, and you also have to consider the fact of the fear aspect. You know, we give energy to certain things, and that's within a conspiracy within another conspiracy.
Yeah.
You know, you have all these people that own different companies, and some are just born into it. They don't even know if it's bad for humanity and stuff like that. You know, one of the things that really like twisted my head, I was like, oh, like what? So this family, you know, they own a certain meat industry or whatever, and they're all vegan. They're all vegan, and they're millionaires, and some are just born into it. They were just gifted the money and the company, and they just let it run. They have people under people just running it. And the people under people is probably, you know, the ones that are in the public light, but the people beyond that is out of the public light, and they're just living their life day to day, not knowing too much about what's really going on in that sense. So you also have to look at that spectrum of perception as well. And when you understand that, you dive more into what can I do to raise my frequency as much as possible in this moment right now. And one of them is not giving into fear at all. That's the main one that I really learned being around in those type of circles in that sense. Because when you give into fear, it's the unseen war that many people don't see in that sense. Again, that's a conspiracy within a conspiracy.
Yeah.
And it's a war you don't see, which is the controlling aspect, if you really want to say the elites, quote unquote, have among people.
Yeah, that's powerful what you just said there. Like, it might be a reality, but to focus on that dark side too much is to lose faith in humanity, to lose your lightness, and it's to lower your frequency, even if it's the truth. You don't serve the light by staying too long in the dark, almost in simplistic terms. I'm thinking from my mind, like, you don't want to be down there too long, because I've been there, you've been there. It's depressing. Yeah. It's not fun. It's not dot connecting. It's not loving. You don't feel happy doing it. You feel like it's a chore. And I feel like one of the reasons why is because you can't do anything about it. We can't change, me and you can't change, like, pedophilia. I can't get rid of 5G around the world just by thinking it. There's no power there. But what there is power in is what you just said earlier, which is a really important point. Raise your frequency. That's what you can do. As one individual, you can do a lot to raise your frequency, and you have an impact on your partner, me, and everyone watching this. And beyond that, even strangers and people that we call non-woke, you just have an impact on everyone by raising your frequency.
Yeah, and if you guys really believe that 5G is what it is, then a great thing to do is buy tensor rings and literally plant it next to the 5G tower. So instead of whatever negative frequency it emits, it'll emit more harmonious frequency in that sense. Because that's what tensor ring does. It doesn't even, you see, that's a beautiful thing about tensor rings. It doesn't destroy any quote unquote negative ions that that isn't quote unquote life thriving, it literally harmonizes it, and it uses it because it understands that it's energy itself.
Yeah.
So why not just flip the script instead of discarding it? Because energy cannot be destroyed nor created. So, and that's also the power of the breath. That's what the power of the breath taught me in that sense as well.
Yeah, that's powerful. You just said that you can't. It's transmuting it, isn't it? And here's the problem with that in a way. If you're coming at it from the angle of dogma and science, you're like, but it's not taken away. Then, like you just said, the ions, it's not taking them away. But you can't see that actually it's like scalar waves. It's tensor is transmuting it. You can't see that shit. We don't have the technology mainstream yet, technology to see that shit. So yeah, it'll always be people that are going to criticize this stuff and say, oh, it's all imaginary. Tensor rings and orgone and crystals are all bullshit. Grounding is bullshit.
Right. The closest thing to the thing you can see is tensor rings under GDV imaging, where they put a magnet, and you see the ions that is coming off the magnet is really harmonizing with the tensor rings. So you can literally see the electrons.
Like a vortex. You don't have a vortex.
Like a vortex, of course.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I've seen pictures of that. Yes, that's true. By the way, I've got some tensor rings under my laptop because I know this is dangerous, what we're doing. Technically, well, dangerous, but it's hurting my health a little bit. So I got tensors there too. Yeah, but vortexing is very powerful. Structuring tensor rings really do. By the way, do you think, I know there's lots of technologies out there. I feel like personally, they're more powerful than crystals. I love crystals. What do you reckon on them? Do you think it's more powerful?
Yes, big time. To me personally, I feel like tensor rings itself, copper is a crystal in that sense. And it's a crystal that is highly malleable, and just the properties of it, just like gold and copper. If you guys can find a gold jewelry store next to you and get your copper gold plated, when you get it back, you will definitely feel the energy. If you weren't energy sensitive before, you'll definitely feel the resonance from mixing gold and copper together. I did it on my ring as a gift. Someone gave one of my clients gifted me. They took my ring and they gold plated it. So when I got it back, I could definitely feel like, this is, gold, the frequency of gold. Why is gold so revered in today's world? So many things, the monoatomic gold is truly powerful. You can even get monoatomic gold, put in a spray bottle, and spray the copper, and it's doing the same thing as getting it gold plated.
Interesting. I'm thinking the pea has monatomic gold in it, so when you do aged urine rubs, it's gay.
And that too, especially aged, because when you age it, it creates ormus, and ormus is also found in gold. Ormus is also found in copper, and you're literally drinking your own ormus, your own crystallized spirit in that sense. That's part of your spirit.
Yeah, that's powerful. By the way, silver too, right? Colloidal silver and monatomic silver is probably pretty powerful.
Yeah, I really love copper though. I really love copper.
Copper's your thing.
And
yeah,
gold.
me too. Copper. I've not tried gold because of the price thing, but maybe I'll get to that in the future.
But the thing is, you can literally buy monoatomic gold, put in a spray bottle, and spray your tensor rings with it.
Huh.
And it's the same. It's the same thing. I learned it from this professor in Australia. I think he's either from Australia or UK, but he makes some really crazy tensor technology. He makes tin copper, and he has the middle copper that's this color inside, and it's like silver around. You might have heard of him. I think it's Maurice. He's on the page, on the tensor ring page.
Brian Briscoe, I know of. Maurice.
No, not Brian. It's Maurice.
No, I don't actually know this guy. Strangely, I know most. Yeah, I don't know. No.
Yeah, Maurice. Definitely look for him on the tensor page. But the thing is, with crystals, here's the thing. When with ancient Egypt used crystals mainly for their water. They never really it's like you're ripping something from earth that shouldn't be ripped in that sense. So when you're ripping the crystals out from the ground, it's losing its piezoelectricity. That's why you have to charge in the sun. You have to charge in the moon. With tensor rings, you don't have to. It continuously has that electronic flow continuously. Yeah, they mainly use crystals mainly for their water until the quote-unquote fall of man, and that's when the whole greedy mindset came in, and then they started ripping crystals and they started wearing the crystals and stuff like that. But yeah, way before, they use it in the irrigation, especially shungite and amethyst. They use it in their irrigation to restructure the water. and they
Yeah.
would drink from it.
Wow, that's so cool. Yeah, you're right. And tensor rings, just to explain to people, they're copper, but it's copper designed in a special way. There's a specific length too, right? It's not just copper, although copper is powerful. It doesn't, am I right in thinking copper doesn't activate its piezoelectricity as powerfully as when it's tensored? When it becomes a tensor ring and it's take the measurements, it's made specially, then the piezoelectricity comes like magnifies, like those electrons really push out.
Right, because you're literally twisting it, which is when you look at it twisted. I look at it twisted. I'm thinking about literally the spine as well, and the quote unquote Kundalini energy. Everything is coming together, vortex energy in that sense. Because copper itself is already has a high piezoelectricity. So when you're twisting it, you're sending any energy that it has coming off of it. You're redirecting it and focusing it even more towards a certain direction, and that's what gives the tensor rings its power.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Do you have to go? If we do, then we can do.
No.
Okay.
I'm good.
Yeah. No, you're so right, and I love that. So yeah, you're twisting it, and then it's charging it like into one point, and then of course, actually, I really do think the length too. So they cut it at a certain length. If you do the lengths wrong, it kind of reduces power a lot. So the length and the twisting makes this. When you touch it, it feels way more than crystals to me. And also orgone. I mean, I do have orgone. I do believe it works. I just don't notice it as viscerally as tensor. Tensor really is my absolute favorite, like yourself. I'm addicted to it.
Yeah, I love tensor. The fact that it harmonizes the energy. And in terms of some orgone pyramids, they found that if you do put on the Wi-Fi, some orgone pyramids make it worse in that sense. You have to, I forgot the science behind it, but what it does is it emits whatever energy that certain Wi-Fi routers are emitting. It's kind of making it worse in that sense. So then when I found out about the tensor, that the tensor just harmonized it regardless, then that was more appealing to me than the orgone.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I feel like people got it wrong. They're chucking orgone pyramids on EMF busters and stuff and cloud busters, and they should be chucking tensor rings everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so we haven't touched base today with breathwork. I know this is something you're huge on too. Is there anything you're learning excited about with breathwork you'd like to share with the audience?
I would like to say that breath in itself has its own consciousness. Breath is a consciousness in itself. And, since we're talking about urine therapy too, and there's nitric oxide within urine, that goes to show that's how much important, breathing properly really is in terms of putting nitric oxide in the body. And breath work in itself is also, I look at it as a blood over intent exercise as well, including urine therapy, because you're playing with the blood, and urine therapy is literally blood plasma. So you don't have to cut yourself for blood over intent. You don't have to do that. You can literally use your own urine. You can or do the breath work, because that's what breath work does. The lungs pump the blood. So when you're pumping the blood, you are moving it in the direction of where you want to go, in that sense of quantum physics, in that sense, because when we close our eyes, we're breathing. In our dreams, we're breathing. And if we're breathing in our dreams, that goes to show in different realms of reality all at once, the breath is there. So we need to we don't need to, but you can harmonize into the reality that you want with the breath. And that in itself is blood over intent as well.
Oh, I like that. That's very powerful. That's very deep. Yeah, I tried to stay with it with that one. That's complicated. I was trying to simulate while you were talking. Yeah, it was complicated. With breath, I feel like it's the key to slow it down. Like, people talk about breathing exercises to speed it up, but I feel like people don't understand that the reason why we do exercises short term to speed it up is because long term it slows the breath down. And the key is to get that breath from like fight or flight, perennial, long-term stress, quick to like nice and slow. Sometimes so you're not even aware you're breathing. It's a good thing to not even be aware that you're breathing, right?
Right. So, so there's this, they're building an app in Canada, and they contacted me, and the founder of the app, and what they're doing is utilizing different breathing patterns, and they found that different breathing patterns create different alpha waves. So they looked at My Alchemy breathwork, and they saw that it was a lot similar, but a lot simpler in that sense. So I took that to heart. I was like, okay, I think I made it more simple than than it has to be, and it doesn't have to be as complicated as people make it out to be. When you focus on like what I do with 369, and you look at 369 in itself and breathing in that pattern, you're really breathing in the vortex of life thriving in that paradigm, because that's what the Fibonacci sequence focuses on. That's what we're all sprouted from the atomic level. And you can play around with that in so many different ways. And when you learn to breathe like an atom is forming, then life itself becomes a trip.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. Another synchronicity. So my friend told me about life path numbers. I'm not sure if you know about life path. It's like a number sequence we were given, and he's a number 9, and we did research on it to see what I was, and they said, okay, number 3 and 6 are good with number 9, and I'm number 6, and you just mentioned there the Fibonacci sequence 3, 6, 9. So how bizarre! All the synchronicities coming up.
Every day for me, it's just part of my life at this point. You just take it in. You really take it in.
Absolutely.
You know what you do frequently is your frequency. So that's what I like to say.
Oh, that's good as well. Yeah, what you do a lot becomes your second. What you do frequently becomes your frequency.
What you do frequently is your frequency.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, thanks. And before we go, is there any last message? Actually, no. Before we go, can you just tell people about, you've got a book out, and you've also got platforms on Instagram, and I think you're on Facebook. I'll tag you, but you're on YouTube too as well, aren't you? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Devon Airbender. You can find me on YouTube, on Instagram, the Black Airbender. So _Black_Air_Bender on Instagram. And on Facebook, you can find me under Devon Airbender as well. As for the books, Black Air Alchemy for Conscious Breathers and Alchemists. That's the first book. The second book is Air Mantras. The third book, I'm going to decide which book I'm going to release first based on the project that I'm working on in a few months. But yeah, third book's coming soon.
Cool. Well, I look forward to that. We'll do another part 3. We'll do many parts. We'll definitely do a part for the next book release. So if you want as well, sharing your information on that, and then that'd be good for us.
Cool. Yeah. And there's another project that I'm working on, but I'll tell you that off
camera.
Of here.
Sure.
Yeah, off camera. Yeah.
Okay. So any last message you'd like to impart to the audience with?
Thank you all for sharing the breath.
Thank you, Devon, for being on joining us today. And it's Let's Have Harry with Devon Graham, the Black Airbender. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate your time. Thanks.
Peace.